So this is Tyler Thrasher. He is with Mountain Brook Families, and we're going to talk a little bit today about how that organization started. It really started around the same time that local Alabama that I started did. I think we were seeing a lot of the same things happening in our school systems and with COVID and masking. And so tell us about Mountain Brook Families, how y'all got started.
Yeah, and I blame you a little bit for it. We could probably
I knew that was coming.
I do that all the time. It usually works.
I'm an easy target.
So we could probably get into those details later. But basically, if you go back and look at around the time of June of last year, that's when the whole issues at Mountain Brook kind of started with the concerns from the parents. So there was a program called No Place for Hate that was implemented into the school systems. And so we weren't getting a lot of feedback from like the schools. Like there was parents asking questions, raising hands, and kind of went on, deaf ear. And so that just kind of festered up till it kind of blew up basically. And a couple hundred parents like stormed the Board of Education their next meeting. And from that meeting, Mountain Brook Families kind of grew from that. So there's pushback on the No Place for Hate program, but there's a bunch of parents out front. We're all talking. And that's literally where most of us met for the very first time. Right. And we knew if we're going to do something that's going to be effective and like kind of watch our schools or whatever, we were going to have to organize. Like busting up in a Board of Education meeting, all hot-headed and tempered, you're not going to be that effective. But if you can organize, as a collective voice and then kind of get with reasonable minds,
right? So make it this straight, because I think some people may not be familiar with, because you're intimately familiar and y'all apparently know. So the Mountain Brook school system was putting in some sort of training or teaching or whatever. No place for hate.
That's right.
Hey, we agree with that.
That's right.
And then so parents had questions about what is this? What exactly are you teaching? I guess, does it have something to do with CRT?
That's right.
What happened? And get basically no answer. So parents do the right thing and say, okay, we're going to go up here and we're going to find out. Now, after that first meeting, did the school board say, oh, here it all is?
Not so much. So just to back up a little bit, there was an incident that happened, and it was a pretty bad incident. So there was a event where a kid had a swastika painted on his back.
Okay.
And there was a student maybe involved that was from the Mountain Brook area. I don't think necessarily from the school, but there was other school systems involved in that event. And from that,
was this at a ball game or?
It was a spend the night party or something. I don't know.
Okay, so something.
So it didn't happen on school property.
Not on campus.
People doing dumb stuff.
Wow.
That's right. And so it's that's a horrible experience, to have happen. But from that, it was kind of this 911 knee jerk reaction. We got to fix. We got to come up with a plan. Right. And so that kind of pushed forward this plan of getting something instilled to kind of help with this PR issue at the school. And that's kind of where the No Place to Hate got pushed in.
Okay.
So, so a lot of parents, they were looking at this program and you're not getting responses back from the school. So what do you have to do? You have to go dig yourself, look at this information. What do they have?
Right. Who published it? Who produced it? The whole 9 yards.
And the deeper and deeper that you get into that material, they start pulling in all kinds of other things, and so when you're not getting response from the schools, the parents are left to think, oh my God, what's coming in, right. And that was a concern. That's what really blew everything up. And the interesting thing about that is folks in the community that kind of oppose our views or whatever, like they've called us anti-Semitics, racist, white privilege, all this, and they don't even know who we are. We are sitting in the stands with their children, with them watching their kids play softball or soccer with our kids.
Right.
We're just normal people, but now we've been called all these names, so. And
they're saying it anonymously?
Well, they're just saying, Mountain Brook Families or whoever.
Oh, that's a bunch of racists. Okay. Because you're opposed to
the No Place to Hate.
No Place to Hate.
That's right. And so, but if my counter to that is let's flip the script. Let's say the NRA brought in a program that the school board had brought in.
Right.
And then you were calling the school and you were saying, hey, I don't want these conservative values taught to my kids. And the school wasn't responding to your response. You would blow up and have, so we would be mad about the same thing if they sat down and listened and judge, our actions and stuff. So we would both be mad if you flipped if the roles were reversed.
After that happened and after you go to the school board meeting, you said apparently it didn't go so well. But what happened after that?
So kind of get back to your answer from that event, that's really what formed Mountain Brook Families. That's because there's a lot of parents that push, and there's a letter that went out, and literally in 48 hours, they had over 600 signatures in the Mountain Brook community for that letter. And it was all in support of, hey, these are our concerns with this program, blah, blah, blah. And there was families that wouldn't even sign it because they were afraid if they signed that letter, like it could impact their business, people who harass them in the community, all that stuff. So even though it was just 600, it was more than that because I know people that wouldn't sign it for that very reason. Right. And so the community pushed, and we put pressure on the school, and then they said, okay, we're pulling this out. But the thing is they said this material was proprietary, so we never could see it. Parents could never see the materials, and they had already trained 500 teachers, and they still wouldn't let us even sit in on the meeting.
Would they have any? Would any of the teachers speak out and tell you what was going on in it? Did they sign an NDA or something?
So we've had teachers sign share information from that training. But they will not publicly come out and speak because of the ratifications of
the school board to be upset with them or whatever.
Yes,
on the back. So this group who is doing what's best for children, going to teach children how to be good little children and good little citizens and have no place for hate.
That's right.
Don't want anybody knowing exactly what they're teaching.
That makes sense.
And they hide behind it's proprietary.
Yeah. Is that a company, or is that an agreement between?
That's what the board and superintendent said. So we had attorneys also looking at it, but we could not sit in. They couldn't share the information. It was all proprietary, and so they ended up pulling out of that contract. And